Hello, Rabbi. Do you have a question for us? I mean, I know you do. What's the question?
We have a question. This one comes from a listener. Her name is Rachel, and it's about dating challenges for middle-aged Southern Jews.
That's super specific.
Yeah. So she says, I had a phone date with a man I matched on a dating site. I'm from a small town in Virginia, and he lives in North Carolina. He was one of 3 matches, and the only one who messaged me in a 100-mile radius. I was his first new match in over a month. Early in our conversation, I joked that we should make a podcast documenting our experience and journey, given our comfort level of being unfiltered about our post-divorce dating experiences, observations, and some great nuggets of advice and habits we use. For example, I run background checks, and he has a burner phone number.
Wait, thank you for pausing. So smart, both of them. Oh, good. They're so good. Yeah.
Okay. That was layer 1.
Okay.
Layers 2 and 3 have complexities such as an aching for Jewish connection, reinforced by our familiarity, like the American Jewish experience. That they're both Jews in America, coupled with the reality that the other person may only be interested in the other by default. Navigating a level of insecurity that we might be forcing the only option rather than an authentic connection.
Ooh.
Like they're like, we're the only 2 Jews left in the world.
Wait. Forcing, it might be the only one, so we're forcing it, but is it an authentic connection? If there's a connection, it's an authentic connection. Is it feeling a little bit forced because like, dude, there's nobody else around? Yes, but if the authentic connection isn't there, it can't happen. But you might be more motivated to give it more time to develop. Wait, is there more to this?
Yeah, she specifies it. Okay. Dating and seeking love after divorce with the added layer of wanting it to be with another Jew and with another layer of impact in that the closest and only option lives 2+ hours from you. I'd appreciate your insights and advice as the aforementioned layers have pluses and minuses. And I like to legitimately pitch this as an opportunity to document and help us share somehow. Any thoughts?
Yeah, can we bring them on? Can you message them back and be like, come on our show, you can document it here. I'm totally up for that, if you're up for that.
It's so fascinating because, there's so many things that come up over here. Number 1, long distance relationships.
Yeah. I have a whole book called Virtual Dating. I believe in it. It happens. It works for some, and for others, it doesn't. That's normal.
But there's a lot of things, caveats that come with long distance relationships. For example, when you do meet, it's very intense because those meetings are. So you have to be careful about that. It could confuse you.
Right.
Other things that come up is, how fast, what do you do? Do you have a text relationship? Do you call? All these, there's so many nuances that come into that. But I'm worried mostly by this issue of the feeling, and I've heard this from a lot of Jews in small cities.
Right.
And I think you were talking about it not long ago because you've been traveling to so many small cities and hearing this. Like, there's nobody out there. This could be the last person. I think in Australia you were talking about, like, that people were like that.
Yeah, they definitely feel that. But I've also heard from people in New York, there's nobody here. And I'm like, really? Because population says you've got lots of options. There's thousands of choices for you. No. But there's nobody for me. So even though we hear it in small cities, I'm hearing it in large cities, LA, New York, London, Toronto, even Israel. Like, I don't know, 7 million Jews here, and there's still no options. Don't tell me there's no options. You definitely have options.
I have a lightning bolt. You only need one.
Rabbi, we know that. Yes, we know you only need one.
There's this generalization. There's nobody. If you think there's nobody out there for you, there will be nobody out there for you.
No, I happen to agree with that. Like, if you're looking through cloudy glasses, the world is going to look schmutzy and you're not going to find anybody decent for you. But Listen, back in the day, let's go, woo, 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 let's go back in time, right? You lived in your little shtetl, in your little community, and there were like 3 options, the butcher and the tailor and the baker, and like, that was it.
What is
Pick
this,
one.
Fiddler on the Roof?
A little bit of a Fiddler on the Roof reference, but there were just a few options and you didn't have any other options. There was no internet. To get to another city was days travel. You might not even make it there. And you picked somebody that was local because it was the smartest thing that made the most sense and you could build a good life together with that person. So on one hand, I hear, I want options. Is this the best that's out there? Am I considering it more because it's local-ish? 2 hours is local when I live in the middle of nowhere. And is that a reason to get started? So first of all, yes, proximity is a reason to get started. Yes, common values is a reason to get started. Yes, having some things in common that you can talk about or banter about, that's a good thing. Having great personalities that you can totally banter and you're like, we could do a podcast on this. That's cool. Let's document our journey. That sounds like you've met a fun, playful, engaging, communicative person that could maybe be your person. And
Right.
they happen to be the most local human and they happen to be Jewish, which is one of your preferences. Okay. But I don't think that's the only reason you're going for it. Like, actually, could you please hook us up? We want to talk to you. We want to document your dating journey.
But
People would want to know about this.
There is a lot of pressure on this. I was just in Portland, Maine, and I ran into a guy with a kippah in Portland, Maine. I found out afterwards he's only one of 4 males in the entire state that wear kippahs that they know of.
Now that is out of town, Rabbi. That is really a small community. But wait a minute, he's still single? Can't we hook him up with somebody in New Hampshire and Connecticut? Come on, Rabbi. He's one of 4 guys and he's still single, new?
Yes, and I understand this issue that's happening in these small towns.
Right.
Where it is like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I met a Jew, period.
Right.
And there's a lot of pressure on that.
Yeah.
100-mile radius, there's not many Jews.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's not an easy situation to be in. But I don't think that she is making more out of this than it is. I think she's making out of it what it is. Looks like a decent human being. And then the question comes in, am I only going for him because he's the most relevant one? Yes, at the moment that might be true. And also he might be a great quality human. Like it sounds like there's potential that's there. And we'll find out. We won't know until you actually meet in person. Yes, there's a lot of pressure because if I don't find you, I might have to schlep 4 hours out of town to go meet somebody. And that doesn't sound like any fun.
And very expensive.
Yeah, but I would give this a real shot. I would really put all of my effort into this going, let's see what's here. If this is the most relevant thing and we could banter and we could have a nice friendship, relationship, communication, connection, why wouldn't I see this as a possibility? Just because it's the only relevant thing? Because the absence of choice it leads me to believe that maybe you shouldn't be my person. Maybe that's God just doing you a favor that you don't have to sort through 497 people in order to find your person. Maybe it's just obvious. Here's the one for you. I don't know. I would almost look at it as like a favor. Like, well, that was an easy decision. I guess I should date you. Nobody else is available. This is a good choice.
Yeah, maybe it's a gift that God gave you that there's no one else around. So this is the best option because there's no competition.
Right. I always say to people, there's a blessing in a no, right? You go out and you with this one and you go out with that one and you go out this one and this one says no and that one says no and then you say no and then they say no. And I say there's a blessing in a no. But I think that there's also a blessing in a no human being being closer to you than this one. I think there's a blessing. I think it doesn't distract us going, oh, maybe there's somebody better out there. We're going, he might be better, but he might live in California and I don't want to go that far, right?
And I don't know if we would recommend California or New York because they don't understand the small town mentality. You need someone who gets you on a very real level, and the New Yorkers won't get you living in wherever you're living, North Carolina, Virginia.
Right. 100% agreed. 100% agreed. So I want to flip this and say, maybe there's a blessing in the fact that you two met. Maybe there's a blessing in seeing that there's no other really fabulous options around, which allows you to be like a horse with the blinders on, that only allows you to focus on what's in front of you. And you don't have to look left and you don't have to look right. There's nothing else to focus on except for each other. Give it a real shot. Do what I call the 5-date challenge. Try dating 5 times. Try getting to know each other. Don't make a spot judgment and don't rule it out and say no and throw them out until you've really given yourself and them a chance to really get to know the real person. So that if you say no, you're saying, you know what you're saying no to. And if you say yes, you know what you're saying yes to. I think that's fair. Is that fair, Rabbi?
And after you hear this,
And
after you hear this, so we know that you got this far, you can contact us and we will have you on this podcast because that is a great story to document.
Yes, we want to document it. Message us, please. A blessing that you find clarity in this process, and a blessing that you should reach out to us in the right time so that we can hear the end of the story.
Amen.